just share the screen. Yeah, I haven't shared the screen yet. And we will go over here. Okay. So this is what we were working with, right? Initially, example package, we created our own package and everything. अभी हम लोग क्या करते हैं यहाँ पे एक और फंक्शनैलिटी बनाते हैं. We will create one more folder and we will call this as
Share the
server.
screen. Yeah, I haven't shared the screen yet.
ठीक है. तो इसके अंदर I will call this as server. एक proper server जैसा feel, look and feel create करेंगे इसका. And the very first thing I will go inside this. Voice is bit low. Voice low. एक second. Let me check the audio settings. Audio तो ठीक है. Comparatively less है. Give me a second. I'll just fix it. Okay, I think I will be much better now, right? Is it better for everyone? Yeah, I guessed so. Okay, cool. So this is what we had done yesterday. I'm going to do exactly the same thing in a much more organized way today so that you understand how this backend thing is created. तो मैंने यहाँ पे एक server नाम का एक folder बनाया and not here. I want it to be inside this. Yeah. So I will call this server.js. Okay. We are not creating any kind of packages or something at the moment, but we are creating just a server.js which will have a basic setup for servers. जो हमने किया था previously, same चीज करेंगे. So now I would require something. What is the thing that I require for this? How do I create the communications in the backend? What is the communication that we require for web? HTTP, correct. So I am going to create HTTP. Now this is a module that is provided to us by Node.js itself. So we don't have to write any code. We are just including the module of HTTP, which has a lot of functionality inside this. Similar to that, there is another functionality called file systems. Okay, and file systems are very much used in terms of reading or writing to a file. Okay, so this is a file system module that I'm using, and I will tell you how it is used in this particular example. Now, at the moment, what we will do is we will create our very first server with the functionality, and inside that we are going to create multiple pages. कल तक हमने क्या किया था, हमने डायरेक्टली वो भेज दिया था, क्या बोलते हैं, एक HTML भेज दिया था यहाँ से, बट आज वो नहीं करेंगे. आज हम लोग एक HTML पेज भेजेंगे, .html पेज अलग से बनाएंगे and we will send that. So what is the first thing that we need to do for this is we need to start create a server. So I will create a server and I will use the HTTP module and I'll call this as create server. और इसके अंदर कौन सी functionality होती है, which there is a callback function. Now everything that I'm going to write here is going to be much better. Is going to be much more of our web pages that we want. And what are the two parameters that this function receive? What are the two functions that parameters that this function receive? Port and URL? No. Request and response, correct. So it has request and it has response. I can name it anyway. And based on this, I can make the check on my application. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is for this server हम लोग multiple pages को handle करते हैं. तो पहला if request dot URL, if it matches just a regular slash, or if request dot URL matches slash home या slash home normal, it gives me this. तो हम लोग we are going to create something. तो सबसे पहले हेडर क्रिएट करते हैं कि एक HTML भेजेंगे. So I'm going to say now I'm creating my responses based on the request that I have received. So I'm creating a response. I'm saying response dot write head. So this is the header information I'm going. So this is something that is telling me कि मेरा response क्या contain करता है. So when I talk about header or a response header, it is containing what kind of content I'm sending. Is it a failure? Is it a success or something like that? All those kind of responses I'm preparing right now. So I will say, okay, this is a successful response. Response is only one. The way we create responses can be anything depending on what we are creating, depending on the application. Response एक ही होता है. Status code अलग अलग होता है if you are confusing with the status code. Okay. So now, as I said, 200, and inside this, we will have this particular content type. And what I want to send is, I want to send an HTML, text slash HTML. तो हम लोग एक HTML पेज भेजेंगे. Yeah, so there are applications, images भेजना, application.json, application, plain HTML, plain text. There are many, but most commonly used are application JSON, application text, and text HTML. Then there are images as well. There is GIFs as well, because as in when we are getting better at web development, we are introducing a lot of new content types. Okay, 200 is the status code, Manas. Now don't ask me what is status code. I have given an elaborate explanation on that. All right. तो अब हमें क्या करना है? कल तक हम क्या कर रहे थे कि यहाँ पे response को we were saying that okay, end it, and we were sending something. But now I don't want something like that. What I want to do is I want to create a file first. तो मेरे server में मैंने एक HTML बना दिया, and I'll call this index.html. Okay, this is going to be a very regular HTML for now. So for this, I will create a HTML template, which is this. I'll call this home page. ठीक है. और इसमें हम लोग कुछ ऐसे लिख देते हैं. This is my H1. This is the server side rendering. And there is a p tag and some lot of some text as usual. Basic index.html हमने backend में create किया है. ठीक है. थोड़ा सा स्टाइल दे दें ताकि सब चीज के लिए अलग अलग स्टाइल हो जाए. Okay, I'll put a style tag over here, and I will put a body style. Now for the body, I will put a background, not back face visibility, background, and we'll put some RGB values. So what do you want to put it as? Let's put it some bluish value. 87, 167, and let's put 190 or something. A little bit of bluish tinge it will come. Okay. I'll put some font and color to this. So the font is going to be font family. I will put it as Gothic, pretty famous font, and color of text is going to be white. Okay, basic style हो गया body का. We will put a style for heading 1 and P as well. So let's quickly do this. Heading 1, I just want to transform it to capital, whatever I have written. So I will say text transform, capitalize, or not capitalize, uppercase. I want it to be uppercase. कुछ font size, letter spacing कर देते हैं इसको, so that there is a space. Letter spacing, I'll give a space of, let's say, 1.5 pixel, or I'll just put a 2 pixel space. Text align center, so this comes on the center. And what else can we do? Let's just give a font size as well. I'll give a font size of 30 pixels. Okay, similar to this, I'll put a font size of P for this one, और ये almost same रहेगा. I will put a lesser, I'll just put these three over here. Letter spacing थोड़ी कम कर देते हैं, 1.5 pixel. Do you know what is the default size of P tag? जो style user style sheet में होता है. What is the default style size? 16 pixels, correct. It is 16 pixels itself. So if I do not specify 16 pixels, it will anyway pick up 16 pixels. Okay. So now we have created this. So how do I read this file? It is not like I'm going to run a server and that server is going to do the stuff. It is not going to be like I click on this and it opens in my web browser. That is not how it is going to work. Now what we want to do is we want to use this file and send it across whenever the web browser hits this URL, right? ये समझ में आ रहा होगा? Yes. So we are going to use file system. That's why we have this file system. So what file system does is it actually reads those files and helps us to send these files in chunks or in data in zeros and ones format. Okay. तो आपने कल देखा होगा कि chunk लिखा हुआ था content type में. Did anyone observe yesterday there was a chunk word coming? There was an error also in some of our code yesterday. Did anyone observe that? No, I guess. Okay. So what we will do now is we are going to create streams. Basically हम लोग को read करना है file और उस file को send कर देना है in my response. Correct? तो पहले read करना होगा उसके लिए. So I will call this let read stream is equal to, now I'm going to use this file system that I have and I will say fs dot read stream or create read stream. ये क्या करता है? ये बेसिकली जो हमारा फाइल है वो थोड़ा एसिंक्रोनस हो जाता है. अब मतलब जब मैं बोल रहा हूँ एसिंक्रोनस हो जाता है, इट मींस so it becomes asynchronous in nature. That means the code is not going to stop until unless this is read. Okay. So it is not going to stop at this point of time. This read stream is a asynchronous method. मैंने क्या बोला था कि एक कॉल बैक होता है, वो it doesn't stop and it moves on the code, and Node.js is a non-blocking environment. So create read stream, what I'm doing is I am creating a stream which is going to read some values from by providing these options as you see on your screen. These are the options that I'm going to provide to this read stream कि कहाँ से पढ़ना है, क्या पढ़ना है, किस टाइप का फाइल है, what is the encoding standard. If you do not provide that, then it automatically understands that machine language में भेजता है buffer में. Anyway, so I just want to read this index.html file. So to do that, I have already used this underscore dir name, right? And I'm going to append that read the index file inside this directory. जो भी current directory है उसके अंदर जो भी index.html file है उसको पढ़ो. So I'm saying this. Okay, so what I have done is I have created this read stream. Now the code is going to come if a person is requesting slash or slash home. It is going to come over here. It will set the response header to 200 and uh, content type to be text.html. And then I don't want my code to get stuck over here, right? That's why I'm saving this reading. This is going to read something and give me whatever it has read in this particular variable. And I'm going to use this variable and create my response. But I don't want my code to stop at this point of time. Okay, instead of this point of time. So this is asynchronous in nature. Once it reaches over here, it takes in this value and says, okay, go ahead. The next part of the code will be running. Once I complete reading this file, I will store it over here. And once it is stored, I can use it anywhere where I want. Okay. So I'm not going to use this response.end anymore. हम लोग क्या करेंगे, क्योंकि हम लोग का जो response भी create होता है, that goes in the stream format. Okay. And that stream format can be added. तो ये जो read stream बना है, इसमें एक pipe functionality यूज करते हैं, ठीक है, और हम बोलते हैं कि response create कर दो, response पे डाल दो. So what I'm doing over here is I am creating a read stream, giving it what values we want or what file I want to read, and I'm piping it. So piping is a function कि अब write करो, यहाँ से पढ़ो, pipe it to this particular response stream, because response also goes in the streams in the buffer format. So to explain it better, I might have to use the whiteboard, but why can't I see my whiteboard today? Anyway, first let's check this out and then we will see the whiteboard. क्या ये काम करेगा अगर मैं अभी चलाऊं तो? अगर मैं गया, कहाँ पे जाएंगे? What should I do next? I have created a response based on the request that I'm receiving. What is the next process that I need? Yes, I need to listen. I need to listen to the port. I need to specify कि कहाँ पे ये request हमें सुनना है. So for that, I'm going to say server dot listen. And where do I want to listen? I want to listen it at the port number 5500, and the address is going to be 127.0.0.1, which is the loopback address. And I want a callback function that when this is done, just print console.log listening at port 5500. Like creation of this server, listening of the server is done or it has started. Okay. All right. So now let's clear this out. Go inside server. Do we have server? No, it is inside node. Go inside server, clear it out and start the server, node server.js. So it is saying that I am listening at port number 550. अब request को आने दो. तो अब इसके लिए I might need to go to browser and open the server. So 127, I'll just share the screen, 1 second. All right. So if you see, I have hit this URL and I have created a page from my backend, and that backend is giving me this page. It is rendering this page. Now, if I inspect this element, refresh this, go to sources. So it is rendering me this page. अगर मैं network में जाऊं, and if I see what is coming from here is the request URL, the general information is that this is the request URL which I am trying to capture. Request method is get. As I told you, the default method when we are sending any address is get. Status code is what we have set. Strict origin, okay, let's not go there. and the content type that I have set was HTML, and the transfer encoding is chunked. तो बेसिकली इसका मतलब क्या है कि डेटा ट्रांसफर कैसे हो रहा है मेरे बैकएंड से इस फ्रंट एंड वेब ब्राउजर में इन द चंक फॉर्मेट. तो वो जो मैंने फाइल स्ट्रीम भेजा था, जो मैंने पाइप यूज किया था, वो चंक्स में भेजता है डेटा. सो इफ इट इज सपोज इट इज अ वेरी ह्यूज फाइल, and that huge file is going to that huge file is going to take a lot of time to read. तो मेरा कोड रुकेगा नहीं. हम लोग आगे का भी जो भी चीज करना चाहते हैं अपने कोड में, that will be up and running. Are you able to understand what we are doing here? No, Apurva, it is not necessary to put semicolon at the end of every statement because JavaScript understands where it ends very smartly. But it is a good practice. It can be used as a delimiter to understand that, okay, this part of the code ends over here. This part of the code ends over here. Okay? You might see me using a lot of time. You might see me using it, not using it. Okay? All right. Are you able to understand this? What we have done is we have created our backend server and we are getting a data. So this is a pretty cool stuff. And the flow of the data is basically from the backend. It is not like the previous ones. ये ऐसा नहीं लग रहा है कि हमारा लाइव सर्वर से हमने एक डेटा या हमने कोई लाइव सर्वर चलाया है, वहां पे हम HTML को ओपन विद लाइव सर्वर कर दिए. Does it look like that? Right? But it is not that. It is something similar. That is what your VS Code is also doing. Rohit, Node.js is the backend. एक environment provide करता है कि कैसे हम हैंडल कर सके रिक्वेस्ट को. जैसे अभी हमने ये रिक्वेस्ट भेजा, अब अभी हमने इसका 2 रिक्वेस्ट हैंडल किया था. सो इफ आई सेंड होम, it renders the same page. It also makes a server and send HTML through it on request. Can you elaborate again? Come again. Like it also makes, what makes a server end? So when you do that, you create your VS Code as a server. और वो सर्वर आप हिट करते हो और उसके फाइल लोकेशन में जाके वो, मतलब उन्होंने यही फंक्शनैलिटी को एब्स्ट्रैक्ट करके एक प्लगइन बना दिया है. ठीक है, वो लाइव सर्वर का जो प्लगइन है, वो पैकेज है, वो आपके विजुअल स्टूडियो में जाता है एंड इट स्टार्ट्स एक्टिंग लाइक अ सर्वर, लाइव सर्वर. ओके, तो अब मैं कोई भी चेंजेस करूंगा, अभी भी वैसे हमारा लाइव सर्वर है नहीं, अगर मैं कुछ चेंजेस करूंगा तो ये रिफ्लेक्ट होगा नहीं, because it does not auto start or it does not do that, and we will see how we can do that. But at the moment this is pretty interesting. I can send a HTML from the backend itself, which we had been doing, but it was not as such for the backend. It was just for the ease of understanding. हमने बैकएंड से एक सर्वर रेंडर HTML रेंडर किया और वो हमारे वेब ब्राउजर में आके लोड हो गया. You can see here. So if I click on home and see the response is going to whatever be the one that we have sent. Okay, and you can also see the preview over here, and you can check on the timings कि कितना time लगा, waiting time कितना था, all that stuff. So this is a little advanced stuff, but this is a very cool thing to have. Now we will come back to the code. तो ये हमने एक रिक्वेस्ट हैंडल किया. सिमिलर टू दिस हम दूसरा रिक्वेस्ट भी हैंडल करेंगे. तो इस रिक्वेस्ट में हम लोग डेटा भेजते हैं. लेट्स क्रिएट इट लाइक एन API where we are trying to send data, or this is an API which sends data instead of the details. So I will say if the request dot URL is equal to dot slash data, जैसे हमने कल देखा था. So here I'm going to send data instead of this file stream services. ठीक है, और रिस्पॉन्स के हेड को सेट कर लेते हैं, रिस्पॉन्स डॉट राइट हेड, and this one is going to be 200 if someone sends me this request, and inside this the content type, a different type of content, is going to be, sorry, application.json, not .json, application/json. So I want you to get familiar with JSON usage because this is what you are going to use a lot when you're working with MongoDB or any kind of data in terms of MERN, mean, जो भी आप पसंद करोगे, प्रेफर करोगे. तो अब हमें क्या करना है कि एक डेटा भेजना है. So let's create a data which could be something similar to this. Let's say previous पे जाते हैं. Let's say कि हमें कुछ ऐसा डेटा भेजना है, ठीक है. तो इसको कॉपी कर लेते हैं, 2-3 पुराना डेटा है अपना रिएक्ट वाला, और ऐसा डेटा भेजना है हमें अपने बैकएंड से. तो यहाँ स्पेसिफाई करना पड़ेगा. So to specify that, I am going to say let data is equal to, this is the data that I am going to send. Now this can be an array of stuff, और इसमें पेस्ट कर देते हैं जो हमने भेजा था. ठीक है, दो डेटा हम भेज रहे हैं at the moment. So this is an object, right? This is an object that we are trying to create, and we are trying to send this object whenever someone hits this data. So what to do next? Can I just go ahead and say response.send or response.end and send this data? Let's see what happens if I do that. .end and send the data like this. ठीक है, close करते हैं and rerun this server. Let's do this and go back to our Chrome. And this time I'm going to make a request to data. Is it not up and running? Yeah. Okay. So there is a error in the backend. कल भी ये error हमने देखा था. Where did it go? Yeah. So here is what the error is. It is saying, dude, whatever you are trying, receive the type of object. The chunk argument must be one of the type of string or buffer. तो इसका मतलब है कि ये end जो है या जो हम डेटा डायरेक्ट भेज रहे हैं array टाइप का, ये एक ऑब्जेक्ट है जो कि ये एक्सेप्ट नहीं कर रहा है. ठीक है, this also helps you to understand how to debug stuff. ठीक है, या सो अब हमें क्या करना है, हमने JSON का डेटा भेजना है और ये है ऑब्जेक्ट. सो देयर इज दिस global data type called JSON dot stringify. So what this does is it will make this particular thing as a string and pass it. So JSON is a global object which is JavaScript object notation. Now if I save this and clear it out and run this server again, it is up and running. Let's go and check it out in our Chrome. Now Chrome says can't reach. Now if I do this, what do you see? Isn't it interesting that I have received some data which is in the form of a object, correct? अब imagine करो इस डेटा को हमने अपने एप्लीकेशन में यूज किया होता रिएक्ट के, तो क्या होता? हमने ये डेटा स्टेट में 0 रखते और जैसे ही रिक्वेस्ट करते अपने बैकएंड पे ये डेटा मिलता और उस डेटा को वी कुड हैव अपडेटेड इट ऑन आवर पेज. Can you connect the dots? What is happening? So this is kind of data that we are receiving, and we have specified the data should be of type application.json. So if I go to network, refresh this stuff, see the data and go to the header, it says content type is application.json, preview ये data आ रहा है, response ये. So basically this is a stringified response of the object. तो अब हमें इसमें को, if I want to convert it back to object the way it was sent, we use json.parse. So what we are doing is we are parsing it to back to the object notation. ठीक है? Are you, is it making sense to all of you? I hope it does. Any doubts still here? What we are doing? हमने दो routes handle किए हैं, एक home वाला एक data वाला, right? Let's say I want to show my user a page if the user tries to reach a page of 404.html. So what I want to do is I want to create a page, not this, create a page not found based on the request. So यहाँ पे भी same लिख लेते हैं, same चीज copy कर लेते हैं till the body, paste it over here, and this is page not found, or let's say oops, we will call it page not found. Give it a style, और इसका थोड़ा स्टाइल चेंज कर देते हैं, बैकग्राउंड थोड़ा रेडिश कर लेते हैं. So for that I will just change these tones. Towards red. Okay, save it. ठीक है, अब हमने चेंज क्या किया है, तो हमें ये चीज भेजना है. कैसे करेंगे? I will say else and copy this whole thing, because again I'm going to send a detail file and everything. Let me remove this, let me remove this, and I will say again okay, but this time it's just going to be 404.html and this is going to be 404. So if I save this, so if the user tries to enter any wrong URL or tries to go to some other page, it is going to get that request. So अभी के लिए ये काम कर रहा है. Normal home page is working. If I go to home, no, let's go to about, because we do not have an about page. What does it say? It says oops, not found. So you might have understood that how this whole front end to back end flow works, correct? And it also says failed to load resource, the server responded with the status of 404. And for the sources, there is no about page. It has given me this page that I said that you should be sending from the backend. And if I refresh this, again, the responses or the header is going to tell me, okay, this is a status code of red, not found, chunk data, everything. So you are getting the hang of how things are playing around in a complete scope. But we status code and no, it cannot be anything. It can't be anything because Nitin, I told you yesterday that specific status codes are related to specific usage. अब आपकी वेबसाइट में अबाउट पेज है ही नहीं और किसी ने यूआरएल टाइप करके जबरदस्ती, although you are not going to send it across, although you are not going to send it across on your main page और आपने उसको यूजर को कहीं दिखाया नहीं है, but user is like let's see ये यूआरएल में क्या चल रहा है, and if it goes and your website does not handle that, so you obviously going to say okay 404 or some visual that you are trying to reach something which is not available, right? What is chunk data means? ठीक है, let me show you one thing quickly in the backend. तो ये जो data हम लोग play around कर रहे हैं and we are sending it using append and saying that it is a asynchronous stuff. Let me go and talk a little bit about file systems because it is a very important topic that you guys should know. File systems. All right, now here I'm going to create a file system.js and I will require file systems. And this is fs, this is called fs. Now file system का काम क्या होता है? It will read or write files or it will give you the capability to write stuff. तो जब मैंने लिखा कि chunk data करो या if I'm trying to send the data in the form of bytes or something, what I'm telling it is that go ahead, read my file from this particular location and do whatever you it is asked to do after it is being read. And I said that this should be a asynchronous action, and that's what I have done in my code. मैंने बोला ये जो create read stream है is a asynchronous code. So let me show you what actually happens. I've created this. Now what I'll do is inside this I will create a text file like readme.txt file. Okay, will lorem ipsum work in this? I don't think so, but let's copy paste. There is like 17 lorem ipsums in this, 17 and two more in top 2 lines. Now I want to read this file. I want to read this particular file. तो मैंने क्या बोला था? Read file. Let's call this. And file system gives us this functionality of accessing this file or reading this file or appending this file, as you can see. So I'm going to say, okay, read file, there is this function in a synchronous way. And there are two things I specify. Are you able to see this pop-up on the screen? Okay, so it says path, number, buffer, URL, जो भी आपको देना है. अगर आपको string देना है जो आपको directly read करना है, या if there is a number that you are giving to it, if there is a buffer value that you are giving to it. And second one is the optional one, that encoding standard, flag, कि string है कि क्या है, what is the flag on this. So let's give it the first value that I'm going to give is the location. So for the location part, I said, ठीक है, readme.txt. It will automatically understand if I do not give any location. So it is going to look for this file in this particular location, file systems के अंदर. It is going to read it. And I'll just leave it over here. And I will say console.log read file. ठीक है, तो देखते हैं आता क्या है. I need to go inside this. Node file systems. All right, what do you see? Can you read the stuff? Can you read the stuff? No, right? But it says something like a buffer. तो होता क्या है, इसने readme file देखा, went into the readme file, it broke it down into chunks, okay, buffers. It broke it down into buffers and it has printed that out, right? It has printed that out. And I will say console.log synchronous read. So the second option that we provide, if we need to provide, is the kind of standard. And there are so many standards over here: ASCII, base 64, binary, hex. Ideally, it takes up the regular hexadecimal values. But I'm going to say मेरे को UTF-8 वाला standard दो, because this is how I am able to read it. This is the normal standard for me. And if I save this and run this file again, what do you see? Something that you can read, right? Right? So both of them are the same thing. ये और ये एक चीज है. But since हमें नहीं चाहिए था, हमें नहीं पता, हमें we were not concerned with here when we were using it in server. We were saying we were not concerned with what we want to send or which type of file we are sending. I don't want to convert it. It will be done automatically by my browser. So I just gave the name और वो chunks में pass हो गया data. Getting to know what chunked means. So this gets broken up into chunks and gets sent over. Now let's see how this works. तो अभी ये सारा print होने के बाद, if I go down, it says synchronous read. So that means पहले ये file read कर रहा है and then it is going on to the next one. I do not want this. I do not want my code to stop. So for that, I just use this function called read file without the word sync. ठीक है? अब file systems चलाते हैं and there is a error. So one very important aspect of a asynchronous reading is we need to provide a callback to it. Otherwise, it will not know कि ठीक है, I will go ahead and make this as asynchronous, but what do I do? What do I do once it is done? So basically, it is looking for a way or a callback which can actually be triggered once the reading has been done. And I would say that, okay, once you have read it, just console.log it. And that is the callback function I have used. And it will receive some data automatically on finishing, right? Because I know it is going to receive this data. We have seen this. जैसे हमने map में देखा था कि it receives some data automatically. So I am saying that, okay, receive the data, console.log that data. और ये synchronous read is outside that. So I'm going to say asynchronous read. ठीक है? So that's why that error was there. Now if I run this, okay, there might be an issue with the read file because it is not able to access this. I need to change it to data now instead of read file. But do you see that asynchronous read has been printed पहले ही? Did you observe that? I did not save it. You see, asynchronous read is being done pehle before the reading is complete. And this is what asynchronous means. Now, if I save it, it is not reading any kind of data. Is this an error in data? Yes, I think this is error in data. Yeah. Okay, so this callback function has certain defined parameters. So what is happening is asynchronously हमने बोला request किया कि आप जाके ये फाइल पढ़ो UTF-8 स्टैंडर्ड में पढ़ो और जब आप पढ़ लोगे तो ये फंक्शन ट्रिगर कर देना. तो ये फंक्शन को it receives something like request and response, it receives error and data. So if I give a wrong file name, let's say, and try to execute it, and यहाँ पे जो भी मिलता है हमें console.log error, अगर हमें error मिलता है तो देखते हैं क्या प्रिंट होता है. So it prints the error. No such file, no code, system call open, path this undefined. तो एक तो इसको डेटा नहीं मिला और दूसरा एरर जो मिला वो उसने प्रिंट कर दिया. So if there is an error, it will receive an error. If there is a data, it will receive a data. But in this scenario, you see that it sends me an error. And do you guys see this similarity or this kind of error coming to you when you were initially trying to figure out how to work with npm and how to work with different stuffs? So this is how it works. Okay, and this is, give me a second. I think something is troubling my system. Yeah. So now this is the error and I can get the access to this, and this is also not blocking my code. So when I say non-blocking input output system हमने देख लिया. It is reading the file. There is whatever is in the file, it is being displayed over here, and we also have the error system in place by Node.js. So you see how comfortable it is for us to keep on doing this. The important part comes now that ठीक है, ये तो हमने समझ लिया, फाइल सिस्टम समझ लिया, राइट भी कर सकते हैं. जो पाइप फंक्शन हमने यूज किया था यहाँ पे, वो बेसिकली राइट करता है. हमने यहाँ पे रीड किया इस फाइल को, और पाइप फंक्शन क्या करता है, वो राइट करता है रिस्पॉन्स में जो भी हमने रीड किया था. सो समथिंग सिमिलर. सो वी हैव डन दैट, बट ये थोड़ा सा टीडियस होता जा रहा है, राइट? हर के लिए पेज बनाओ, हर के लिए राउट्स बनाओ, हर को अलग तरीके से हैंडल करो, राइट? सो व्हाट इज द सॉल्यूशन टू दिस? What should be done to handle this in a much better way? For that, express.js was originated, and they said that I am a framework which you guys can use for your advantage of routing. I will solve your routing problem for sure. कि आपको जितने पेजेस बनाने हैं, हर पेजेस को अलग तरीके से हैंडल करेंगे. तो उसके लिए लेट्स गो टू द express.js. So it says fast, unopinionated, minimalist web framework for Node.js. Cool, sounds great. We know how to save this. We know what it does. Let's go to getting started or a hello world example. So this looks like we need to include this framework and then tell my application that, okay, start using this express. So I am kind of initiating this framework, or in, calling this express function which I have just imported, and I'm saving it in app. तो अब app में सारे express के features आ जाएंगे. अब उसमें से I can use a lot of string. I also specify port over here. I was doing it while I was listening, but you can use a variable, which is a better way of doing it. And then you see it is something similar to what I have done using the create server part. Now here I'm not including any HTTP. I'm not including any such thing. I'm just going ahead and saying that, okay, if the request is get for this particular thing, there is a callback which will receive a request and a response, and the response is the send hello world. Pretty simple, right? So express generator I would not suggest you initially, because express generator क्या करता है, बहुत सारा बना बनाया कोड दे देता है, बट उसके पहले आप पहले एक्सप्रेस को अंडरस्टैंड करो. सो बेसिक राउटिंग हम लोग जो करेंगे, वी विल डू इन टर्म्स ऑफ द HTTP मेथड्स दैट वी हैव, गेट, पुट, पोस्ट, डिलीट. सबके लिए वी आर गोइंग टू डू दिस. Okay, and for each one of them they have their different methods, and separately we are going to handle. Now there is this special routing called all, used to load middlewares. We will talk about middlewares in some time, but we can use this all methods apart from your regular get or post methods. Okay, so this is express, which is going to do a lot of routing work for us. किसी भी टाइप का रिक्वेस्ट आ रहा है उसको हैंडल करेंगे, डिफरेंट डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ रिक्वेस्ट को, एंड वी विल क्रिएट रिस्पॉन्सेज बेस्ड ऑन द रिक्वेस्ट दैट वी आर गेटिंग. So note this. You might have seen that I always take you to the website that is created by the developers. Okay, so please note this. And since today I am not feeling a little well, so is it okay if I end the session now and meet you guys on Monday? Okay, सो मेरे को ये बताओ कि अभी बिफोर आई गो अहेड, सबको बहुत ध्यान आ गया, थैंक यू गाइस फॉर दैट, आई विल टेक केयर, बट बिफोर दैट यू टेक केयर ऑफ दिस सिस्टम, यू टेक केयर ऑफ दिस सिस्टम, और जल्दी से एक सर्वर बनाते हैं यूजिंग एक्सप्रेस, और उसके बाद फिर वी विल सी व्हाट वी नीड टू डू. ओके ओके oh, we are inside node now. इसके अंदर, और I'll just create a new folder called express so that you guys can see. Do you see how the content is growing for us from day one? एक HTML का भी content होना चाहिए था यहाँ पे, but we deleted it some time back. Okay, let's clear this out. Inside this, ये express को normal रखते हैं. I don't want to create any folder structure. Directly इसके अंदर काम करना शुरू कर देते हैं. So it's like a backend server. Okay, so I want to initiate a package.json. How will I do that? I want to initiate this particular folder as a package.json. npm init, correct Sachin. So I am initializing a package. अब ये मेरे से पूछेगा बहुत सारे सवाल. तो नेम इसका क्या रखना है? पैकेज नेम रखेंगे एक्सप्रेस, ठीक है, बट एक्सप्रेस से प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगी. We will change the package name later, version 1, because express is already a package which we want to include, so this name can create an issue for me. ठीक है, I hope you're getting it. No description, index.js, test command, git repository, nothing. I want nothing. I just want to get over with this. Clear up. In my package.json, I'm just going to change the name of this as express example. I can do this manually, but we mostly prefer that we do not do it manually. Index.js नाम रखते हैं, and we will create this file called index.js. Okay, I want to use express, so how do I install that? Something similar to what we have done previously. npm install express. The name of the package is express. Yeah, so npm install and the name of the package, and this is going to install all the functionalities for my specific thing and specific project. And as you can see, JavaScript package.log JSON and node module has come back in our life, and now we can start using express. So to do that, what we will do is, instead of doing all that create server and stuff, I am just going to say let express, it's a framework, Rohit. That's a debatable thing in dev community. What is a framework, what is a library? But उन्होंने खुद ही अपने आप को एक framework बोला है, so I'm no one to say that otherwise. And I want express. Yes, you can use const because this is not going to change. ठीक है, but app में अगर आप कोई changes करना चाहोगे, then it will have the issue. अच्छा, require express like this. Yeah, you can use that. Single line भी use कर सकते हो नितिन. बट हम लोग क्या करते हैं कि हम लोग यूजुअली एक नया ऐप वेरिएबल क्रिएट करते हैं और उसको बोलते हैं एक्सप्रेस की फंक्शनैलिटी यूज करो. एंड हियर व्हाट आई एम गोइंग टू डू इज आई विल से app dot, if I am getting a request from this server, let's say home, तो क्या करना है, मेरे को सिंपल यहाँ पे रिक्वेस्ट एंड रिस्पॉन्स आएगा. रिस्पॉन्स आया और I'll just say res, and based on this I will response dot send hello this is a express response. All right, and now what else do I need to do is I need to tell my application that, okay, Sergi, please listen to a request before you can do anything. So I am going to listen to a request, app dot listen, and I will listen to 5000. Localhost bhi likh sakte hain, so it will identify what it means, and that's it. And I can also give that name for a look and feel of it, that where am I listening to. So I am console.log listening at port 5000. अब आपके पास बहुत पावरफुल टूल आ गया है टू हैंडल. तो ये सेम चीज आप देखो हमने 2 लाइन में की है. लेट्स जस्ट स्टार्ट द सर्वर. So to do this, I will have to say node index because the name is index. So if I do this, it has started. Let's go and check it out. So if I hit 5000 now, will this work? Nope. It says cannot get about because there is no such routing. But do you observe? This does not keep on loading. This does not keep on loading. It simply says आपने जो request किया है, that is not there. So if I just go ahead and say home, why is it doing this? Because I have made it at localhost. So let's see if localhost works. Yes, no. I'll just change it to 5000. Funny. Let's go and see what is happening. Listening at 5000 localhost. Oh yeah, I have said home. Obviously, it will not show me. So it was behaving properly. Correct. See, हमारा problem भी solve हो गया. And it has very well loaded. It has a kind of a different look and feel to it. तो देखते हैं इसका रिस्पॉन्स कैसा है. ये देख रहे हो, इसने खुद स्टेटस कोड चेक सेट कर दिया. इसने खुद कंटेंट टाइप सेट कर दिया, टेक्स्ट HTML char सेट कर दिया, and there is this new thing said X powered by Express. So now we know that, okay, whatever our backend is, it is mostly an Express backend, a framework. E tag is for the security issue, which Express kind of creates and attaches it to the header. Okay. So we had just sent this request header, and you can see the preview response. And if I go to my body, there is nothing. It's just a simple text that gets loaded over here. So we have created a simple expressed powered request response model, right? तो आप देख रहे हो कितने कम लाइन में. अब मेरे को जितने अलग अलग पेजेस क्रिएट करने हैं, सबका मैं गेट कर सकता हूँ. एंड गेट इज द डिफॉल्ट HTTP मेथड. We will also see post, we will also see delete, we will also see put, and this all will get related to how our complete stack works. All right. तो easy लग रहा है, difficult लग रहा है, कैसा लग रहा है backend? How you guys are feeling about backend? Yes, without Express, it was loading, Nitin, because we were not creating any kind, or we were not, if we did not stop the send or end, it was kind of saying response.end nahi kar rahe the, so it was kind of waiting and waiting for the response to come back. ठीक है. तो एक्सप्रेस में अब हम लोग को कुछ चीजें देखनी पड़ेंगी कि अब हम लोग को बॉडी कैसे मिलता है. बॉडी कैसे मिलता है हमें देखना पड़ेगा कि इस बॉडी को रिसीव करके कुछ फंक्शनैलिटी करके वापस भेजना है. तो हमने रिएक्ट से कुछ डेटा सेंड किया उसको हमने अपने डेटाबेस में सेव किया और वापस भेजा। तो हम लोग नेक्स्ट वीक से क्या करेंगे, हम लोग एपीआईज क्रिएट करेंगे यूजिंग दिस एक्सप्रेस, और हम लोग रेस्ट एपीआई को अंडरस्टैंड करेंगे एंड वी विल सी व्हाट रेस्ट एपीआई मींस, and things are going to get very interesting because along with REST API we are going to learn about MongoDB. तो हमने MERN का एम ई और नहीं, एम नहीं, ई आर और एन थोड़ा थोड़ा छू लिया है, अभी एम नहीं छुआ है, राइट? ई भी अभी जस्ट स्टार्ट किया है, वी विल वर्क ऑन ई अ लॉट, एंड ई एन एंड एम आर गोइंग टू बी रिलेटेड, बैक एंड की टेक्नोलॉजीज होगी और रिएक्ट हमारा फ्रंट एंड का टेक्नोलॉजी हो जाएगा, and you will be able to understand any kind of code at the end of this course. Yes, API is application programming interface, which we are going to create. All right. So try to play around, try to figure out a way of running ये express app या ये जो node data है, ये जो node data आपने हमने अभी create किया ना, over the weekend play around और कहाँ गया, yes, कि यहाँ से data भेजो or see how you can receive it in your app.js. Just try it out. Think कि कैसे करते हैं, fiddle through the internet, try to research. तो इससे क्या होगा, आपका React भी थोड़ा कंसोलिडेट होगा, थोड़ा सा बेटर वे में आप हैंडल करोगे चीज़ें, एंड यू विल बी एबल टू सी कि ये कनेक्शन होता कैसे है. If there is any kind of doubts, always Slack is open for discussion. Okay? Sounds good? Is it good for the day? Shall we meet on Monday with more data on Express? Okay, cool. So what about the assignments that has been given to you? Have you guys completed that? I saw very few submissions, 27 submissions or something. Apurva, we need to provide like थोड़ा सा तो एडवांटेज होना चाहिए ना जो लोग लाइव सेशन अटेंड कर रहे हैं उनको, बिकॉज नहीं तो आप तो वीडियो देख सकते हो आराम से, बट people are here on time, people are sitting investing their time, so there has to be some advantage to people who are sitting here, right? Okay, Sachin, ठीक है. Monday से we will come back to 8 o'clock. Is that fine? Yeah, Monday से we will come back to 8 o'clock. This week I wanted to have the 7 to 9 session, but from next week we will be coming back to 8 to 10. All right. या प्लीज जिन्होंने नहीं सबमिट किया है वो सबमिट कर दो, एटलीस्ट मेरे को पता रहेगा कि कितनों ने सबमिट किया हुआ है. अगर सबमिट नहीं करोगे तो एकदम ही कुछ भी नहीं रहेगा, तो और डिसएडवांटेज है. सो ऑल्सो पास दिस information to everyone. So Sridhar, I think next week and probably next week we will be able to cover major part and the things that we had promised till 10th. You are getting even more than what we have promised you, I think, the whole structure. So I am here to give you everything that I have in my capacity for this particular course. Next week तक हम लोग सारी चीज़ें देख लेंगे, एंड उसके बाद आप लोग प्ले अराउंड करना शुरू कर सकते हो, आप लोग चीज़ें को बेटर वे में अंडरस्टैंड करना शुरू कर सकते हो. ओके, cool. So thank you guys. I will see you. I'm sorry I'm not able to take up the doubt session today, but if there is any kind of a doubt, please drop it on Slack, and we as a community can help each other out. And have a nice weekend. Take care. Keep learning, and I will be sending out some assignments to you for you to work so that you can keep the practice going. Okay. In the meanwhile, you can practice what I said. Like you can play around with the code that you have. Okay, before I go, I'll just push it. नहीं तो सब बोलेंगे कि बिना कोड डाले भाग गए. Get status. Thank you, Vani. Yes, I will have to take care. This is not a good time to like feel a little feverish or something. It might be of because of the weather, but you never know. Git add, git commit. Have you guys now mastered Git? आराम से use करते हो? है ना? बहुत बढ़िया चीज़ है. You can start building on Git a lot. Oh, I think I might have just added packaged node modules as well. I need to delete it. You see, हमारे पास get ignore फाइल नहीं है, तो ये सारी सेटिंग्स हमारे उसमें रहती है. नहीं, इसको नहीं चाहिए होगा. Where else do we have node module? Yeah, here. So these node modules needs to be removed because it will take a lot of space. So you know what to do when you try to pull this code. Just install the package. Okay, git push origin main. All right. So whenever you're pulling in, that has come into picture, but I have tried to keep it separate. CSS Express, JavaScript, React app, Node. Okay. Chalo. So I will see you on Monday, guys. That's it from my side for the day. I shall see you on Monday. Bye bye. Take care.